Okay, we are back again discussing the 1.7 update that will be released in a few days. As we know, I already made a video discussing the full kit of Vivian a few days ago. So in this video, I will move on to discussing the kit of Hugo, who is the second agent from the same faction as Vivian, Mockingbird. Will the presence of Hugo in the next update be one of the DPS that can fill the current meta position as a DPS for the Ice attribute? Well, as we know, Miyabi is still the best DPS for Ice attribute right now. So, without further ado, I'm Hoyostation and we will discuss the full kit of Hugo in version 1.7. Let's do this. Before we continue the video, I want to tell you some super important information that you should know, guys. It's about Top Up Live. Top Up Live is a trusted top-up service offering a variety of your favorite top games such as Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Zenless Zone Zero. As a global platform, Top Up Live offers a variety of popular local and international live streaming and game top-ups. Game cards, gift cards, and game CD keys with digital catalog has over 3,000 game channels. Supported by 70 international partners and more than 126 gaming communities worldwide. Of course, Top Up Live also offers the best prices up to 25% off, which means you can get much cheaper prices than you can get today. Still not enough, you can enter the promo code at the time of purchase and get an additional sweet 8% discount. Still not sure about Top Up Live? Do not worry, Top Up Live is a leading global brand with over 10 years of experience specializing in providing online game stores and distribution platforms for live streamers, gamers, game developers, and publishers. Of course, it's 100% legit. So what are you waiting for? Start using Top Up Live right now. Oh yeah, before we go into more detail about the full kit of Hugo, I want to give you a disclaimer first that the information I'm giving in this video is a kit that is still in beta. So in the future, there may be some changes to the kit that I'm giving in right now. Let's start with the basic information about this character. As you already know from the brief marketing, Hugo is a character from the Mockingbird faction and has the Ice attribute with the role of attacker. One of the main advantages of his kit is that he can deal massive damage and he can end the stunned status on enemy instantly. One more thing, Hugo can also provide a pretty unique attack, because through his core passive, he can provide a powerful attack when he uses EX special attack when the enemy is in stunned state. So in general, he will be absolutely good when paired with agents that have a stun role, such as Lycom. Let's first briefly discuss his base stat first. Hugo has a slightly higher base HP than agents with similar roles such as Soldier 0 NB and Evelyn at 7,940 points. Even if we compare it with an agent who is one of the DPS that has been present for a long time, namely Alan, he has a higher number with the difference about 300 points. As for the Anomaly Mastery status itself, Hugo has a slightly lower Anomaly Mastery as a DPS agent, which is at 86 points, where Evelyn has Anomaly Mastery at 92 points and Silver Soldier NB at 94 points. This means that Hugo will not rely on the damage output that comes from the Anomaly status and only depends on the raw damage he produces. Next, we will enter the basic attack section first. Currently, Hugo has 3 versions of basic attacks that are interesting for us to discuss. For the first basic attack version, he will attack the enemy with 4 attacks that deal physical damage and ice damage. Now, the interesting thing about this skill is that if we hold down the basic attack button on the 4th attack, Hugo will deliver a shot attack to the enemy. There is also an enhanced version of basic attack that can be used after using the normal basic attack or when starting a dodge counter by pressing the basic attack button. Hugo will throw the scythe forward, then shoot and deal ice damage. While firing, we can hold down the basic attack button to recharge and fire the amplified shots. If Hugo's shots hit the enemy, we will get a charge stack up to a maximum of 6 stacks. One more thing, when Hugo unleashes chain attack or ultimate, he will use up the entire charge and fill 2 energy from each stack. The point is that Hugo will provide ice damage shots that can fill charge, which can later fill energy when using chain attack or ultimate. The effect of this skill is quite good because in addition to dealing damage, this skill can also provide energy so that Hugo can quickly use his EX special attack. Okay, next is the last version of basic attack, called basic attack extra damage or his aftershock attack. When Hugo is not on the field, Hugo can unleash an extra attack or aftershock attack if the character on the field unleashes heavy attack and hits the enemy. This extra attack can be unleashed once every 5 seconds. This is an interesting skill, although the damage produced is not too great. But this skill helps provide damage output to the enemy if we replace Hugo with other characters like Icon or Trigger who are doing stunt to the enemy. Okay, now we move on to the special attack section, which has several versions. For the first version, Hugo will attack forward and deal ice damage. On the other hand, for the EX special attack version, if Hugo has enough energy, he will attack forward and deal a large ice attack. After launching this attack, it will restore 20 points of Hugo's energy. Users are immune during the activation of this skill. The interesting thing about this first EX special attack is that Hugo can attack while getting his energy back, which means he will often be able to trigger the EX special attack thanks to the effect of the basic attack and the EX special attack itself. In addition, there's another EX special attack version, which can be used when energy is sufficient by holding down the special attack button, in which Hugo slashes forward and deals an AoE ice damage to the enemy. Although this special attack does not return any energy, the damage output of this skill is more powerful than the previous version. This EX special attack has an interesting effect that we will discuss in the next section. Okay, now we get to a pretty important part of his kit, which is his core passive that takes effect when he uses charged EX special attack. When charged EX special attack hits an enemy who is in a stun state, the judgment effect is triggered, which increases the damage multiplier of EX special attack based on the remaining time of the enemy's stun status when judgment is triggered. The base status of this attack increases by 1000%, and the attack multiplier increases by 445% for every 1 second of the enemy's remaining stun time if the current remaining stun time is less than 5 seconds, and by 180% for every 1 second of the enemy's remaining stun time if the current remaining stun time is between 5 and 15 seconds. The total damage that can be generated by this skill is 5025%. If the enemy was hit first by a chain attack or ultimate attack, the charged EX special attack will trigger judgment and increases its damage by 33% or 56%. After judgment is triggered, the enemy's stun status ends immediately. Well, that looks pretty complicated, right? In essence, this core passive grants judgment status when you attack with a charged EX special attack on enemies in stunned status. When the enemy is affected by the effect of judgment, the charged EX special attack will increase significantly to 5025% within the maximum limit. The longer the duration of the enemy's stun time, the greater the increase in damage multiplier bonus. In addition, if you have previously used chain attack or ultimate on a stunned enemy, the damage of the next EX special attack will increase by 33% and 56% respectively. The effect of this core passive to be a big chunk of damage. For now, it can be said that this skill has one of the highest damage multipliers of any DPS agent in the game. But there are more interesting points of this core passive, where after the judgment is triggered, the enemy will immediately rise from the stunned state, which can make the enemy able to move immediately. Therefore, this skill is very useful when used against enemies that have a very short stun window. In addition, his bonus ability will be active if there's a stun or support agent on the team. The effect of his additional ability is to increase Hugo's ice attribute damage by 25%. When the enemy comes out of stun status as a result of a triggered judgment, 6% of the enemy's stun value is accumulated for each remaining second of stun mode, up to a maximum of 30% of the enemy's maximum stun value. The effect of this additional ability is interesting, right? Because with this additional ability, Hugo can replace damage that isn't maximized if you don't trigger judgment at the maximum time, where the remaining seconds will be accumulated directly into a stun value to the enemy up to a maximum of 30%. This will allow the enemy to get back into stun mode faster, where Hugo can deliver maximum damage. Very interesting, right? Not to forget, we will also discuss about chain attack and his ultimate. The chain attack will make Hugo dash forward followed by a finishing blow and give an ice damage attack. Interestingly, the finishing blow of this skill will be considered a charged shot and Hugo will be immune during this attack. Interestingly, if we often trigger a stun effect on the enemy, then this skill will often trigger so that we have additional charge points. As for his ultimate, Hugo will throw a scythe and attack the enemy in front, then give a big slash and give deadly ice damage. Hugo is also invulnerable when this ultimate is activated. The unfortunate thing is, His ultimate doesn't have any effect other than being able to deal additional damage when Hugo casts charged EX special attack on an enemy who is stunned. Finally, we enter the last part of the kit, namely the MINDSCAPE section. Unfortunately, there is no official name for his MINDSCAPE, so I can't mention it yet. For the first MINDSCAPE, when entering combat status, Hugo will immediately get 1500 decibel points that can be triggered every 180 seconds. When charged EX special attack hits an enemy in stun status and triggers judgment, there is an additional absorption effect triggered. We will get additional decibels based on the remaining stun time of the enemy when the absorption effect is triggered. Every second of the remaining stun duration time, we will get 100 decibels, up to a maximum 500 decibels, and can be triggered once every 20 seconds. This MINDSCAPE has an interesting effect, guys, because with this effect, we can make the charging of ultimate points faster. Because the more often the enemy enters into stunned mode and is affected by the judgment effect, then we will also increase the damage output of Hugo. So of course, characters with a stun roll will have a very important role. Next for MINDSCAPE 2, which has a very overpowered effect. The effect is where when ultimate is hit by an enemy in a stunned status, the judgment effect will be triggered without directly making the enemy rise from the stunned status. On the other hand, the damage multiplier of his ultimate will increase based on the remaining stun time of the enemy when the judgment is triggered. Each remaining second will increase the multiplier by 140% to a maximum of 2100%. If we do a little math here, if we have 15 seconds left, we can get a damage increase from the ultimate up to 2100%, which is a very big number even though it's not as big as the maximum number of his core passive. In addition, using judgment effect from his ultimate won't make enemies end their stunned status. So we can absolutely give the effect judgment one more time with charged EX special attack. For the fourth MINDSCAPE, when the ultimate or EX special attack hits an enemy that is not instant, the judgment effect is triggered and the damage multiplier increases by 1500% more. This effect is pretty powerful, guys, because with the fourth MINDSCAPE, Hugo will not have to trigger judgment in stun mode, which will also change Hugo's playstyle a bit. Also, for the last MINDSCAPE, when judgment is triggered, Hugo will get one layer of charge up to a maximum of 4 layers. When charged EX special attack triggers the judgment effect, if the enemy is in a stunned mode and the number of charge layer is greater than 3, use 3 charge layers and ignore 50% ice attribute resistance for damage from the judgment attack. This effect can be triggered when we have 3 layers of charge, which we can get by casting judgment 3 times. Of course, with the effect of MINDSCAPE 4, this will be very easy to trigger. Okay, now we are going to talk about his signature W engine. Same as before, unfortunately, his W engine doesn't have an official name yet. This W engine has an advanced stat in the form of a 24% critical rate. This effect will certainly be good for Hugo, who is the main DPS. For the effect, it will increase attack by 25%. When using EX special attack, chain attack and ultimate and triggering ice damage, the critical damage of the attack is increased by 25%. If the attack hits an stunned enemy, the critical damage of the attack is increased by another 25%. The effect of this W engine is quite simple, but has a big additional critical damage of up to 50%. Besides the addition of attack by 25% and critical rate by 24%, this W engine will make Hugo very good in balancing critical value. This will also make it less difficult for us to find the perfect critical value stat from the disk drive later. Okay guys, maybe that's all for now. What do you think about Hugo? If there's anything you want to ask, please type it in the comments down below and don't forget to check out my other videos because they are no less cool. Thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video.